Welcome to Becoming an Elite Financial Advisor. I'm Sten Morgan here with Andy Traub. And today we are going to be very direct. And I think one thing our industry lacks is clarity on what should I do next. That really a lot of things can be successful. If you get into this business, just try a lot of stuff and eventually it'll work out.
Yeah.
We are going to challenge you today with what is the ideal planning team?
And this is, we're going to talk about how to build on top of them, but let's just dive right into, we call this a team of 5.
Yep.
And those positions are, I'll let you go through the titles.
Yeah, and I know that a team like this can manage a $3 million plus practice in a healthy way. So the first is a lead advisor. That usually happens. This is a sole advisor that is slowly building a team. The next one could be a partner advisor or secondary advisor. A lot of times the second hire could be a relationship manager.
Sure.
So a lot of teams, it's a relationship manager and an advisor, and they're just plugging along. And then eventually you add like a paraplanner, junior advisor. So you need a lead advisor, a secondary advisor to help that lead advisor with flow, an admin customer relationship person. You also someday need a practice manager. You need somebody that takes off the lead advisor. What does it look like to run a healthy business, keep the team members motivated? And then the ultimate progression would be you have like a director of planning, somebody that is doing data input, report creation, and they live and own that space.
Yeah.
So with those 5 positions, to work towards those and make sure that they are high quality people, that is a thriving financial planning investment practice. Even some insurance practices should look that way. And if you can get to this place with this team as a lead advisor, the business owner, you will have a lot of time on your hands to travel, be with your family, do what you want to do. You will have great profit and you'll make a huge impact.
I think your team, I want to talk about one of those positions specifically because in our conversations with hundreds of advisors, it's the one that I think that it's the position that the most advisors kind of go, oh, good to know that, or they just go, I don't really get that one. They kind of gloss over it.
Yep.
I'll say this. If you add a relationship manager, if you add a head of planning, if you add another advisor, what you end up with is you end up managing those people instead of doing what you do best, which is to go out, usually prospect and to work, meet with clients. And so by having that director of operations, right, that layer between you and your staff, that is, it's not don't think of it as like I don't want to be around my staff. It's no, I want my staff to be more taken care of.
That's right.
And so that's why I have this person in place.
Yeah. And I also get to
frees you up to do what you do best.
I get to enjoy my team more because I used to be the one that walked in there probably like, oh, he's here. Like the source of all accountability just walked in the office versus now Jamie gets to sit with them. It comes much better from her, just the way she presents it. Like, hey, what are you struggling with? Hey, we talked about getting this thing done. Why wasn't it done? Or, hey, the quality. Hey, next time can we, she's just better at communicating that than I am. And now when I'm around them, I get to actually just be a participant in meetings as opposed to being the one for years I was leading everything and trying to just crack the whip. Now I have somebody that's also held accountable to results. As a practice manager, if the practice isn't growing, hey, Jamie, tell me why that's not happening.
It's amazing to me, and again, that's why we're going to be really direct here. I used to work for a ministry called Young Life, and there was a position called the area director. And the joke they said is basically you need to be Jesus and really good at administration. The idea of you are relational with high school kids, that was the ministry, and you're good with adults because you have to have a volunteer team or a volunteer committee, and you're good with college kids because they're your volunteers, and you're good at finance. It's that person doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist, yeah.
And so that's why today, as we talk about this, stop trying to be all things.
Yep.
You are not all things. And the answer to running a great practice is not to learn 4 different skills. We talked about the superpowers episode. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. Go back to it. Find a way to live in your superpower and hire around that. Part of the genius of this 5-member team and the way it develops, from an outside perspective, is that if you can get someone that's new to the business and they get to watch the lead advisor and they get to learn how to do financial planning, then, frankly, they're for a while, they are your planning department. They're the one doing all that planning administrative work. Yep. When they go to then start to develop their own client base, as you're doing with yours.
Yep.
They're very, very in tune. They understand what they're offering, what they're selling, what they're delivering, and they've been sitting in meetings, taking notes.
Yep.
They've been delivering on the financial planning services. I mean, they're just so. It is such an unbelievable internship, if you will, versus just sell to people and hopefully you survive.
Yeah, unfortunately, at times the industry you almost end up with a team of like 3 advisors all producing their own stuff and just sharing expenses, which is fine. It's better than just being on your own and paying for expenses that you maybe aren't fully utilizing.
So why is having someone that's sort of younger, who's not experienced, better than sort of 3 people that are all kind of doing the same thing?
I have found, and this is in my experience, that if you have a senior advisor that has been there and done that to some extent, they've come to a place where they're like, I want to own my own schedule. Like, I just want to produce. I want to come and go as I please. But when you're trying to build a team, you need to be able to hold them accountable. And so when I bring somebody in and I salary them and I motivate and bonus them and train them, like, I have more impact, control over what their day-to-day use of time is.
Yeah.
And for my practice, I needed that. Just bringing in a bunch of advisors that just want to do whatever they want. It might have helped save some expenses, but it wouldn't have helped grow the practice that I wanted.
That's not really a team. I mean, it's not. It's like
it's expense sharing. It's not a team.
Yeah, it's like having 3 point guards on a basketball team. It's like a 3-on-3 tournament. Like, we need a power forward and a center. Instead, we've just got 3 guys who like to shoot.
That's right.
Like, who rebounds? I don't know. We just hope we hit the shots. Like that's not very helpful, right? Yeah. You have to. And again, we're trying to build some structure, right? I mean, think if you build a house, it's like, we want 3 living rooms. Like, where do you make your food and where do you go to the bathroom? No, we want the fun part.
That's right.
No, you have to have a balanced team. So,
and beyond the 5, the next one, there's probably space to add another lead advisor.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So what else could you add? Let's just do some variables. Like, because again, people are like, how do I fit in this? Where am I?
Yep.
And they're going, oh my gosh, I have 2 advisors. Am I doing it wrong? We have 4 advisors. I have 2 administrators. Am I doing it wrong? I have 4 advisors. How many more advisors could we add?
Yeah.
So how many more advisors could you add? That's my question.
This isn't the only way to do it. I think we've experienced so many teams now, and I've been around so many advisors that if you don't have a team, say it's you and one person, an admin, like, we want to give you something to look forward to that's tested and proven so you can start building a plan towards it. But if your team looks different than this, that's fine. I think there are probably gaps that you need to be honest with yourself that, is this just purely expense sharing and feels better than if I was on my own because I like seeing people in the office? Like, that could be your business model. But if you want to say, I want people that live in their superpower, that drive me to be better, that free me up to do the things I want to do best. I know when I hired my first person, it took 60% of the stuff off my plate I was doing. Huge win for me. The next hire probably took another 50% of my stuff off my plate. Wow. I was slowly taking steps into, like, I enjoy meeting with clients most,
right,
and getting those clients such good results that they refer me people.
So let's go back real quick because I want to be practical with that. The 60% was probably because you were just doing a ton of admin stuff.
Oh, all applications, all onboarding, all money movement.
And then the 50% of what you had left. So people are like, okay, what did you have left? And I think that was probably not. It was bigger than administrative. It was more some of the financial plan, some of the moving money around.
Some knowledge was required on prepping for review meeting reports, agendas. It was
running illustrations,
scheduling, running illustrations. Anything that was kind of above somebody that was able to just kind of do the process stuff.
Well, yeah, someone's licensed or getting their license.
That's right.
And so that's why that second hire is someone who's sort of young in the business. And again, I mean, I don't know an advisor who's listening right now that wouldn't want someone who could come with some measure of knowledge and hunger and stick around and grow and become what they could become. I think that most people just don't think about that because, I don't know. I mean, I think the industry, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think the industry is like, let's throw 1,000 people at the wall, and if 30 of them stick, that's great. So you just burn out of all the people that are young, and there's a lot of potential there that's completely wasted because of the way the structure is.
Yeah, there's a lot of great advisors that would serve people well, love on people well, that aren't prospectors and thrown into the deep end, which is what our industry does, of like, hey, good luck, find enough business to feed yourself.
Yeah.
They're going to go work, for somebody that's going to pay them a salary somewhere that may not be exciting, but they're kind of relegated to that. Versus our approach was, you will join us in a 2-year track.
Right.
And we will train you for 2 years. And at the end of that, you're going to decide to either stay internal or you're going to become an advisor that we're going to start pushing business towards. As you build this infrastructure out, you will have a capacity at some point to probably have another advisor come in, which is what I did with Dustin. He came on with his own book of business. He kind of does his own thing, but our system had enough capacity to handle his request too. And now the firm receives an override. So as you build this, there's probably a place in our future where we take an advisor that says, has 100 million of AUM or something that's like, hey, I just want to be part of a great team that has great staff because I want to have more time. I've kind of built something. And if it's a culture fit, we'll say, hey, plug into our system. but that can't jeopardize the core. Like I can't have that advisor replace Jamie. Like that advisor couldn't replace Chris or Brooke. Like all those roles leading up to this 5-person team is so important to have if you want to grow a great long-term practice and actually have balance in your life. Beyond that, there's probably room for other advisors because it becomes more about profitability and feeding the beast that you've created.
Let's talk about how you could build this wrong. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to a house and there's like the living room's way too big and you're like, this house is like all living room and the bedrooms are tiny. You know what I mean? Like the idea of like, I was in a house once that had like 9 bathrooms. I'm like, do you guys have issues? Like, why is it imbalanced? You know what I'm saying? So my question is, and this is where I'm going to go with this. We know of a practice that has like 3 times, at least 2.5 administrators for every advisor. It has like 20 some, and there's like 8. I mean, it's like, what is going on? And it's literally just I don't know how they became that way, but like, what are some ways that people sort of, whether it's just by the way they've done it in the past or that you could do this wrong? Like you said one, which is all advisors, no admin.
Yeah, or all advisors and just relationship managers. Because then are we running a good business here? Is this thing profitable? Like I found I needed a practice manager, somebody that was not in the day-to-day processing, but more like, hey, are we setting vision together? I'm going to project manage the things that Sten says we need to get done.
And that person also is going to be in charge of marketing to a large degree.
Oversee project manage. She's not the marketer, but she's going to project manage everything for legacy that has to do with, are we running a good business?
Yeah, and project manage, we're literally sitting and go to YouTube, please. Yeah. Subscribe to the channel. Like and subscribe. Hit that, whatever, bell, whatever, anyway. But seriously do that. But that we're in a studio that she helped us build out.
That's right.
Right. And it's like we're moving offices around as the companies grow. Way to go, right?
Yep.
But like, do you want to do that as an advisor? Do you trust
You could, and I used to, but it was not the best use of my time.
Is that your superpower?
Not at all.
Interior design and prospecting.
Yeah. And so that was a huge role for me to have. So again, there's the advisor heavy model. There's the support heavy model. And you may, if your practice is you want to have 4,000 clients, like you probably need more administrative support.
Yeah.
And that's your business model. So I would say this team of 5 could vary. I just know if you want to be a planning consulting based practice to where people come in and they pay you for time and ideas, you need this level of support to run a great practice. We have a lot of money under management. This team can help handle that. We do some great big insurance cases. This team can help manage that. I look back and I wish when I started and hired, if I said, okay, that's probably not a year or 2 from now, but in 4 years, I know what I'm working towards. I know what my next hire is. I can now write that job description and know what I'm getting rid of. Versus mine was, man, I'm trying to survive. Okay, we have a problem now.
Yeah.
I need to hire to solve a problem versus like, oh, I see that problem coming. I'm going to hire ahead of it. Right. So I'm less desperate in the hiring process.
So as an example, there's a couple different examples I think of folks in our Lead Advisor Network of how they're doing this to some degree. So we have an advisor that said, hey, before I bring on another advisor, I want to get a certification, CFP, I believe. And they said, hey, I want to do that. I want to do more of the planning. I definitely need an administrator. And I think they brought on kind of an ops person as well. But they'll be positioned in probably 12 months to bring on a junior advisor, right? There's another that, just has probably 5 advisors, 3 admins, 1 head of planning. I'm thinking of another that has no planning department right now, or literally just going to hire that spot.
Nice.
It's just literally going to go find that. That's 2 advisors, 2 admins, and then they're going to have a head of financial planning.
Because I think what we have to keep in mind is there's no shortage of clients. So the scarcity mentality of like, man, if I get these people, like, what am I going to do with them? Like the clients exist. And if the problem is you can't find them, like that's a different problem to solve. What no successful advisor will question is that you need a team of people that are good, that are delivering on your promise of like good customer service and good ideas. So if that is the biggest obstacle, is the head trash of like, I don't believe more clients exist.
Yeah.
I don't believe I could afford these people if I hire them.
Yeah.
I don't trust myself that if I free up half of my schedule that I will use that time well. Well, let's talk about that stuff.
You posed an interesting question, which is an internal dialogue that it's almost like the conversation that doesn't happen, because if I'm not doing that, then what am I doing? It's like, oh, I'm doing the scarier stuff. Or maybe you're doing the stuff that you really should be doing, but I think there's part of the advisor mindset, and this is just part of maturing, even if you're 45, still maturing, right?
Yep.
Is maturing in your thinking and saying, like, I know I can't do that. Maybe I'm good at it, but what am I great at? How can I really work in my superpowers?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you go do big stuff. You're the people that you know in your life that are doing big stuff aren't doing the little stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Because they know what their big stuff is. They know where their real value lies.
Yep.
I think about Warren Buffett, and he talks about how much he reads.
Yeah.
Why do you have time to read? Because that's his superpower is knowledge and perspective.
Yeah. And he has enough excuses to not read if he wanted to.
Yes, he does have plenty of excuses. But yeah, this idea of like, well, that is the best use of his time and energy. So he's going to have a team to support that. So part of this is knowing your superpower and then building around that.
Yeah, you need to create white space for yourself. I mean, we have an event coming up in January that is content that created a $500,000 or more revenue stream for me in my business. That there were years I didn't think I had time to go to something like that. I was just surviving and keeping up with the clients I had and doing some onboarding. Like, if you as an entrepreneur, as a leader of a business, as a leader of a practice, are not finding time to go places and learn things that would shake everything up, that's an indicator too that it's a people problem.
That's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem. I had a friend recently share with me, and he runs a very successful business, and he said the greatest measure of a successful business owner is their ability to not be present and the business still operates.
Yep.
Now, how long you're gone, that can be negotiated, but it's not a true business if, I think about Disney. Well, Disney's been gone a long time. Disney's still going, right? Whether you love them or not, like they're still going, right? Steve Jobs is gone.
Yep.
Apple's still going, right?
Yep.
That is the measure of a true business, and that's what we want to encourage you. Yes, it's harder.
Yeah, I think your practice that you just created a job for yourself.
Yeah.
Or are you a business owner, which is where you're trying to build something that works yourself out of a job?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's, and I would, if 99% of advisors that we'd sit across the table, if we asked them that, they would say, of course, that's what I want. But most advisors are making decisions and creating more work in a busy job for themselves.
Right.
And that's not the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Sten. I think that the idea of building your ideal team it's a worthy goal to shoot for. And you who are listening, you might be 6 months from that. You might be 2 years from that.
Yep.
You don't have to be 10 years from it.
Yep. And the practical step is, who is that next person on your team? And if you don't know, do an audit of your practice and say, where's the biggest headache? What's the thing I do that I don't enjoy the most? What is the thing that if I was able to spend my time on would grow the practice? If you do that exercise, you will come out the other side realizing, like, the only way this is solved is with somebody. And if it's a job description issue, reach out to us. We have them. Like, I'll give you the job descriptions of people on my team. Like, all of those things are solvable. They're probably excuses that are stopping you from taking action, but this path has been blazed already. You just have to follow it.
Absolutely. So the last bit of practical advice I'm going to give you today is to go to a URL. Go to stenmorgan.com/podcast, and here's why. Because every single message that you send us, we read and reply to.
Yeah.
I don't care how many years from now you're listening to this, that will go to a person who cares and who will respond. So if you have a specific question of, okay, here's my situation, I'm a special snowflake and mine's unique because everybody thinks their situation's unique. And to some degree it is, because we're all different. If you have a question for us, we want to be a resource to you. Yep. So reach out to us, whether you're part of our monthly membership, whether you're coming to our event in January or not. We'd love for you to be part of those things. Yeah, you should. But if you're not, that's okay. Send us questions. We want to help you grow your business. We want to help you build your ideal planning team. Hey, this is Andy again. I wasn't kidding when I said that we want to help you in the development of your team. So please go to stenmorgan.com/podcast and let us know what questions you have about building out your ideal planning team. At stenmorgan.com/podcast, you'll see a field right on that page for you to send us a question. There's also still time to register for our How to Charge a Live event at our headquarters outside of Nashville. Go to stenmorgan.com/howtolive. That's stenmorgan.com/howtolive to get your seat. If it's full, you can just add your name to our waiting list and we'll notify you when we have our event next. On behalf of Sten and myself, thanks for listening. And remember, be kind to yourself. We'll talk to you soon.